Skip Bayles, a man who has transcended sports media over the past decade and is the face of hot takes in the sports world. Recently, Skip had a fallout with his former FS1 Undisputed co-host Shannon Sharpe over a recent history of being disrespectful to his colleague that ultimately led to their split. But what if I were to tell you this isn't anything really new for the contrarian and that he actually has a history of getting mad disrespectful with co-hosts, guests, and even former athletes on his show, especially when he's about to lose a debate or get called out for his takes? Today I'm going to dive into some of the most heated moments when Skip crossed the line on a show with others sitting across from him on the debate table.
What did you tell me earlier in the show about, with age comes wisdom? Yeah. I've been watching football a lot longer than Eric dreamed of watching football, so I think I'm qualified.
Wow. Stephen A., he just threw 5 verbal interceptions. None of them were right. They were all the wrong reads. Nope. And tomorrow we should criticize him for it.
Hey, wait a second.
Exactly.
Wait a second. Mr. Basketball, Stephen Naismith. I learned a lot of football from Don Shula and Tom Landry. Can Eric speak to Don Shula?
Oh, really? Were you in the meeting, Skip?
No, I spent a lot of time with him.
You hung around?
Yeah.
You learned a lot of football from him?
Yeah.
Tell me the last time you talked to, or tell me about those meetings that you sat in with Don Shula.
All right. Well, look. Let's
talk about. When were they?
Well, I can tell you a lot of Tom Landry.
We're all not on the same page here. We're definitely not on the same page.
Let the record show. I question results. I would never think to challenge the acumen of a former head coach and a Super Bowl champion as a defensive coordinator as well as secretary. Because I would not do that.
You know what? You're right. I didn't get fired twice as a head coach. It's okay. I get it.
All right.
That's not nice, Skip.
Hold on. This is Skip's answer to everything. When he gets beat up, as badly as he's been beat up today,
nobody beat me up.
I didn't get fired twice.
All right, listen, guys. I understand.
It's a pathetic attempt to win the argument at the end.
That's not nice, Skip.
Well, let's move on and talk about a current coach right now, guys.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, but this one was actually kind of funny, and Skip's face after saying what he said was pretty priceless. But that doesn't negate the fact that bringing this up on national TV was pretty disrespectful. At the time, Eric Mangini had just gotten fired from both the New York Jets and Cleveland Browns after missing the playoffs and leading each team to a 9-7 and 5-11 record, respectively. And hearing Stephen A. Smith telling Skip that's not right just added to this legendary clip from over 10 years ago.
He was 18 years old. He wanted to choose the number of his favorite player. He copied the powder toss, not as a way of saying Michael's gone, I'm here now, just out of respect, out of love for Michael Jordan.
Have you ever talked to LeBron about that?
Yes, and I know that LeBron, you say it took him years to get to this point. That's not true. I talked to LeBron back in 2005 for a story I did for ESPN the magazine. He admitted at that time, he said Kobe Bryant's the best player in the league. He said, right now I don't have that killer instinct to the degree that Kobe has it. He wasn't going around saying I'm the best player in the league. I'm King James. I'm this. I'm that. King James just a nickname that matched his last name.
Heck no.
He heard it from LeBron.
I
heard it from his mouth.
Can I ask you a question? I've been
You told me once on this show.
You're going to take it to the bank when LeBron James.
Hold on. You told me once on this show.
I'm not going to accept that.
Do not get in your heart. Do not tell you what's in your heart. How are you sitting here from thousands of miles away telling what's in LeBron James' heart?
Because you're way too close to have any objectivity.
Wait a second. I don't have objectivity.
You sold your journalistic soul to get close to LeBron so you can have a pipeline.
I
didn't do that. I have objectivity about it.
You do
I can
not.
sit back. Yeah, I do.
First of all, that's a strong claim.
That's what. If you're going to question my credibility, that's what you did.
I'm saying you're sitting here. You told.
Okay, so this time on the other end of Skip Bayless' wrath was his longtime colleague Cris Broussard, who just so happens to work for the same network with Skip at FS1. This clip was during their time together on ESPN, and Skip questioning Chris's journalistic integrity was a severe low blow. To call him out, saying that he sold himself to get closer to LeBron is a huge no-no in the industry. Come on, Skip, do better.
As you know, Cris, Skip has been your biggest critic, and he fair or foully has liked to refer to you as Bosh Spice. And I'm assuming that's where you're going to begin with our first question, but why don't you start by responding to Skip and the criticism that he has had of you throughout particularly the past year?
Well, I just want to put it out there. I don't have a problem with you at all. You know, we're both professionals. We both do our jobs, I'm sure. You know, you work hard. We've got the Southwestern connection.
We do have that.
KC and everything.
Yep.
My only problem is just the whole misuse of the name. If I stink it up on the court, that's fine. I don't have no problem with you. I love jokes. I love cracking on jokes. My thing is, my family, we take a lot of pride in our name. And my ancestors, my great-grandfather, my father, my grandfather, my aunts and uncles, you know, we're very prideful with the Bosh name. And I don't like it being made fun of. And I, you know, I don't think they appreciate it either. But, you know, that's all, really. That's it. I mean, I'm trying to say, right, man, if you run into my aunts, you know, that's...
you feel that way, but you're not. Oh, so you're probably better off with Cris sitting there and not one of your aunts.
Yeah. But you know, the Bosh name, you know, because that's all we have, you know, and we're hardworking guys. You know, my father and his fathers, they've paved the way for me to do what I'm doing today, and you know, that's like my main issue.
Okay, I respect the Bosh name. But I have no regrets with referring to you occasionally, especially early and at midseason, as Bosh Spice. I admit I was very tough on you, but I thought that your performance with the Miami Heat, the Heatles, warranted an occasional use of that nickname because I thought it was fitting and accurate because occasionally early on with this team, I thought you were soft and passive and unaggressive.
So for over a year, Skip Bayles had been calling Miami Heat star Chris Bosh Bosh Spice, a play-on reference to Posh Spice of the Spice Girls. This was during the 2010 NBA season when the Miami Heat eventually choked against the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Anyways, when Cris got on the show and told Bayless that he didn't like how he was using his family's name in that reference, Skip, instead of actually giving in, justified his criticism. And I guess that's what many people have complained about sports media, how it's more about ridicule than actual criticism. Bosh clearly did not like how his name was being used, and Skip just didn't care.
But you've dismissed him. You say he can't play in the league. You told me that repeatedly. You said he's not a starter in the league.
That's not a starter. There's plenty of other players besides the starter. Okay, that's 6 weeks ago. You need to move on till today.
No, you need to move on. What does he do every fourth quarter?
You're right.
Game after game after game. They all say it. He's inspired the whole franchise.
So you covering sports all these years don't matter?
I just watch with my eyes. I've been covering it a lot longer than you've been playing it. I can tell you that.
And I give you credit for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't take away his
I give you credit for that.
Okay. Well, I just think I'm right about it. You can't discredit me.
But you don't know. You don't know.
Neither does he. What have I always told you? Some of the worst judges of personnel are the best players. Michael Jordan's the worst GM in the history.
So now
we also debate the fact that as reporters, when our objectivity is skewed for whatever reason, that might factor into the equation. So he's a player. He might be subjective because of that. You're a reporter. You may be subjective.
So you tell me there aren't bad reporters that have jobs reporting compared to John Elway with his skill level?
Like, I agree. I've always had a good eye for talent. You can look at my draft record on this show.
So you discredit my ability to be on.
No, I'm just saying you're wrong about this one. Just this one.
I did play
You're not giving him any credit.
I did give him credit.
Okay, but you're saying don't give him so much credit.
So in other words, hold on. So if we don't believe, all right, he played the game. I certainly have never played football.
Into you laughing. You laughed the last time. What happened?
Wait a minute.
You ate it again and again and again.
Let me ask you a question.
How many times were you wrong, Cris Carter? How many times? 7 times.
I know I went to 8 Pro Bowls and played 16 years.
Yeah, and how many rings do you have?
I ain't got none. You got the same amount as you.
No, I don't.
This was a discussion about Tim Tebow during the time when Skip was campaigning for the Broncos QB. However, his co-host Cris Carter didn't share the same opinion and pretty much called Tebow a bench player. It's only when CC started to laugh at the absurdity of Skip Bayless' take that Skip lost it on the former Vikings receiver and called out the fact that he finished his NFL career with 0 rings. This was as bad as a shot he took on Shannon Sharpe. Cris Carter is a legit Hall of Famer and one of the greatest wide receivers the game has seen.
But I have been extremely consistent in my stance over the last, 8 years since you ended badly in 2008 in Dallas with the Cowboys, that you're not a first ballot Hall of Famer because in my humble estimation, after doing all of my homework and covering the first team that you played for, that you played a very large part in internally tearing apart 3 very good teams by attacking publicly and feuding with the head coaches of all 3 teams, the coordinators or position coaches of all three teams and the quarterbacks of two of those teams, but you had an issue with your third quarterback and his favorite target, Jason Witten, in Dallas. And we can go through blow by blow all those things that happened. We can walk back through it and go back and forth about it. But to me, I go back to what Bill Polian said the day before this election happened on Saturday. Bill Polian, the Hall of Fame executive who works for ESPN, I have had my issues with him on this show. But he said, as he pushed for his guy, Marvin Harrison, from his Indy days to get in ahead of you, Bill Polian said that the Hall of Fame ought to be for people who made their teams better. I believe, Terrell, that you helped ultimately make all three of those teams a little worse by internally tearing them apart. Yeah, I'm going to make my case. We can go team by team if you want to.
Absolutely.
All right?
Where do we start?
Okay, well, so to me, I've always said this about you. As high IQ a player as I was ever around, but you have an alter ego. You had one called T.O. And I believe that you fell prey to your alter ego, or just your ego, T.O., and that you and Chad both were more me players than we players.
I don't know how many of y'all let Skip get away with this one. In my opinion, Terrell Owens was a greater player in his position than Shannon Sharpe ever was in his. That said, if Skip said this to Shannon on national TV, y'all would have had Skip crucified on the air. In this short clip, he basically nullifies Terrell's Hall of Fame career by telling him that he actually made his team worse, which is just insane. T.O. after retiring is still in the top 3 in all the 3 big receiving categories, yet Skip Bayles campaigned for years on television telling his audience that Terrell Owens was not a Hall of Famer. This was just disrespectful to the max. I don't know, what are your thoughts on all this?